Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to take a look at some comments that came from Mel Gibson, and this is in regards to Lethal Weapon 5. Now, this is something that's kind of strange to me, because, there were talks about Lethal Weapon 5 not long after 4 came out, because I think 4 was moderately successful, although I think the returns on that series have been getting less and less as it progressed forward. But according to Mel Gibson, the process is actually moving forward now. Now, there's a couple of issues I have with this. From a film standpoint, this is a sequel again that is happening over 20 years by the time. I mean, it's already over 20 years. It might be over 25 years by the time this film comes out, if it comes out. And those are very rarely, if ever, good. There are a handful of examples of it, but for the most part, they usually wind up falling flat, especially now that you're doing a sequel that is after you've had 4 movies. This isn't just like something, this isn't like a reboot, or this isn't a single movie that now has a sequel many, many years later. This was a series of films, and they were all directed by Richard Donner, and that's kind of where I have my second sticking point. Now, Richard Donner is known for many, many, many films in different genres. He directed The Omen, the first 2 Superman films, all 4 of the Lethal Weapon movies. Again, all of those films in different genres. In addition to many, many other movies. And the thing is, Richard Donner is 90 years old, and he hasn't directed anything since 2006. And even then, he hasn't consistently directed anything since the 90s. So I question that a little bit. Now, there are some films in pre-production, well, in announcements slash pre-productions right now, that he is a part of, but he's a part of those things as a producer. Now, I don't know. Mel Gibson did not clarify if Richard Donner is going to be directing this film, or if he is just going to be an executive producer on it. Because again, he did direct the 4 previous Lethal Weapon films. But he is 90. If he is going to take the director's chair again after so long, after what will be probably at least 15 or 16 years by the time this thing finally starts getting filmed, I question his ability to handle that at his age. I mean, again, we've had directors that have gotten old, very old, and they're still able to direct films consistently and appropriately. But still, you have to wonder, because he is 90 and because he's been out of the directing chair for so long. It's almost like a Stanley Kubrick type of thing, where after Full Metal Jacket, Stanley Kubrick didn't direct anything until 1999's Eyes Wide Shut. So, and he died while making that film. So, it's questionable to me that what the stress is going to have on Richard Donner. That is concerning to me. In addition to the fact that in today's day and age, with he's probably very at risk for stuff like COVID and things like that. I don't think it would be a good idea to have Richard Donner on a film set right now. Now, if he's an executive producer, I think that would probably be a more fitting role. He would still be involved in some of the elements of it. And maybe you could get a younger director that maybe he could kind of backseat a little bit. That's definitely been done before, or maybe like a ghost directing thing. I could see that, but that is concerning to me in that sense. And then you have the other part of it. Now, this would supposedly be a quote unquote last ride for Riggs and Murdaugh, who are played by Mel Gibson and Danny Glover. Now, both of those actors, I believe Danny Glover, I'm pretty sure, is definitely in his 70s, and I'm pretty sure Mel Gibson is either late 60s or early 70s. He might actually be in his 70s at this point. So you have 2 older men who are starring in this film, and they're supposed to be, the whole point of the Lethal Weapon series is it's an action cop, like an action buddy cop movie, that's kind of balls to the wall and insane. And I don't think you can do that as well. Maybe with Mel Gibson, because he still has kind of kept his actiony roles a little bit. and he's still in relatively good shape. Danny Glover, however, I don't know if that would be a great idea. Danny Glover is kind of retired to kind of the less active portion of his career. Now, the other thing too is that what are you going to do with the characters that are left over from Lethal Weapon 4? The kids, and Chris Rock was marrying into that family at that point. Um, Danny Glover's family, he was getting married to the daughter. And so, do you bring Chris Rock back into this? Do you bring the actors that were playing the kids back? Do you try and recast? Is this something else? And then the other question you have too is, if it's successful, what do you then do? Because here's the thing with Hollywood: if something's successful, they can never leave it the fuck alone, and they never will leave it the fuck alone until it stops making money. So if it's a success, they're going to try and probably set something up so that you have another series of films. They'll probably have some younger actors in there. They'll try and maybe make them carry the torch or carry the mantle. Maybe they'll do something like they'll kill off Danny Glover or something during the movie, or Mel Gibson, one of the two. But again, or bring back Joe Pesci too. Maybe you can coax him out of retirement again. But it's not. There's a lot of issues with trying to do a Lethal Weapon 5, aside from just trying to get the film made in general, which, again, that's probably going to be a nightmare. I don't know what process this film is in. I think this is the first time that we've heard that Richard Donner is actually working on the 5th installment of the Lethal Weapon series. So if that's the case, I'm assuming this is extremely early in development. They may not even have they probably don't have a completed script yet. They probably only have maybe like a first or second draft, if that. So I don't know about the story elements. That's going to be a huge question in this. Whether or not they're going to try and carry on this series with other characters or descendants of these two characters is another question, which I think could go hard. I think that's a plot point that could go horribly fucking wrong if done incorrectly. And then on top of that, you also have the issues with the lead actors now having aged considerably more. Richard Donner having aged considerably more. Again, the Lethal Weapon 4 was over 20 years ago. It's not, and again, that was kind of near the end of Richard Donner's directing career. He would only direct 2 more films after that in 2003 with Timeline, which actually Timeline isn't a terrible film. I do like that. That's with Paul Walker and Gerard Butler and a few other people. And then he directed another film in 2006. And again, he hasn't been in the directing chair for 14 years. So like I said, there's a lot to digest with this, even though it is a very minor announcement. But I don't really see this working out. I have a funny feeling this movie's probably going to go right back into development hell where it came from. Or, God forbid Richard Donner passes away, the whole thing is going to go to shit anyway. So, that's just kind of my opinion on possibly having a Lethal Weapon 5, but I want to know what your opinion is. Do you guys like the idea of having a 5th installment as kind of, a farewell to the series? Do you think that they're going to try and milk this thing again if they can get a successful film off the ground? Do you think that Richard Donner and Danny Glover and Mel Gibson are too old to be doing this type of a film? Put your thoughts in the comments below. As usual, I like to read them. Hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?